back to the channel and you're joining me again for another rig making session. Today I'm not going to be going through a rig for the UK but for Norway. I'm off to Norway in the upcoming months, so the weather is horrendous outside, so I'm down just making my rigs to go to Norway. So what I'm going to take you through today is the foam rattle rig. This rig is probably the best rig that I've ever come up with for Norway. If most people know, I've been going to Norway since 2008 and I try and go 2 to 3 times a year. But in 2010 I managed to get the privilege of fishing in South Africa, and we're using a rig out there for cob. So I thought, oh, that might work out in Norway for halibut and that. So I came back, played around with it for a few years, and then I come up with this rig. This rig is absolutely brilliant. I've had countless halibut on it, my PB haddock on it, my PB cod. The people who I guide out there and the guests I've taken out there have absolutely smashed it on it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you through the correct way how to build it, and the correct way then of baiting it up, and I'll attach that to the end of the video of me actually out there baiting up for it. Because I've seen a few videos now, people are out there using it and the baits are way too big and then that just kills the rig. You might as well just have an up and over rig. So what I'll do is now I'll run you quickly through as normal the component parts which you require for it, and then we will talk you through the foam rattle rig. Right, well, before I go through the component parts, we'll take a quick look at the business end on the foam rattle rig. As you can see here, so all it is super high density foam, and I've whipped in a hook and also a rattle, which we'll go through later. The brilliance about this is, obviously, when you fish a normal up and over rig, your bait is actually sat in the bottom, and crag activity out in Norway and all the little critters living in the bottom can rip your bait to pieces. Also, halibut like to feed looking up, so this allows you to fish a bait horizontal in the water column, and this proper triggers the halibut. Good thing about this rig as well, it allows you to fish different heights in the water, and also when it moves, obviously in the tide, it rattles and it also looks like the fish the way I bait it up. So that's the rattle rig. We'll move on to that further now. Quickly running now through the component parts required to build the up and over rattle rig. As I always say, you don't have to use the same component parts that I use, but if you do want to, I'll put the link in the description. You just click on it, it'll take you to it, but use whatever you feel comfortable using. So to start off, in your rig body, I use 100-pound xenon. For the actual hook length or snood length, which is going to be connected to the rattle rig, use a good fluorocarbon to 80 to 100 pound. Because it is suspended in the water in daylight for halibut, you know, you don't want any line being seen and spook them. If you're going to use it for cod in the night, just use xenon 100 pound, it will be perfect. You need a good strong swivel. These are brilliant, 132 pound, but they're really small and helps with your casting and that. You need your reverse bait clip, a quick link, a pulley bead of your choice, super high density foam, your bait clip. I find these better because it's got the bar which holds your bait in when you're casting. Hook wise, I've got a 4/0 circle hook, which we'll talk about in a minute, and I've got a 7/0 short shank light hook, and that is essential for this. You need bait elastic. I've got the Tronix Pro anti-tangle sleeve. I've got my rubber stoppers, and I'll talk about them next, and then the essential bit, a rattle, a lure rattle. H2O do them, or relevant companies do it, but that is essential. But that's everything you need to build the rig. What I'll do is, I've got an up and over rig made ready. I'm not going to put all that together because most people know how to do an up and over poly rig, but I'll talk you through how I do it, and then we'll get on to the business end of tying the rattle onto it. As we spoke about, here's my up and over pulley rig already set up, so I'll quickly talk you through it. As you can see here, I've got my reversed long tail bait clip. That comes down then to 4 foot of 100-pound xenon. Then I've got a rubber bead, then I've got my pulley bead, then I've got my click release clip. That's brilliant out there because some areas in Norway can be weedy. You get a lot of dead line out there as well, and that's all that does, it stops when you wind it in catching on it. and then I've got my bait holder there. Then I've got my 132 pound micro swivel, then I've got my anti-tangle sleeve. Then I've got 7 foot of fluorocarbon of your choice, and then that comes down then, and then obviously we're going to be ready now to put on the hooks, the foam rattle and the rattle, and then complete the up and over rattle rig. So that's what we're going to do in the next stage. Right, now we're ready to place onto our hooks, onto our hook length. So the first thing that needs to go on is your circle hook. So you put that on and just slide it up. The next thing, which we spoke about as well, I don't like to use big hooks in this because you're trying, but you need a strong hook because you need to make this rig as buoyant as possible. You go using a really big thick gauge hook, and obviously that's going to add weight to the rig, and then you won't get your buoyancy. So I've gone for, as we spoke about, a 7/0, really strong hook but thin gauged, and a short shank, because obviously that will make it as light as possible. Attach that then with a knot of your choice. Moisten and pull. I always leave a little tag end as well, because when you're whipping it onto there, you can use the tag to hold the hook in there. I did try bait clips wrapped around the hook and pushing into the foam, but a tag seems to do better because it's less weight as well. Right, so that's done now. You can put that to one side. Now, your super high density foam. You can get this in all different places, fly fishing world, carp fishing world, but then I get it in little packs like that. I like to shape it a little bit because that's the way I am. So I just cut the top corners off, like so. So you get sort of a fish shape. The important thing with this, my good friend Matt Wilcox, he told me about physics and everything. So before, and I had quite a few failings in it, I used to whip it really tight, but then obviously water displacement, this is all about. So the smaller you put that, the less water displacement you're going to get, and you went into maths and all that when you proper confused me. So you don't want to reduce the size of it, you want to try and keep it as it is. So what you do is then, you get your scissors, you cut down the middle. This is where your line's going to go of the foam. There's a recess for your line to go into, and then so it looks like that. Halfway down then, I cut a little square, because that's where your rattle is going to go into the foam. And the foam, believe it or not, actually amplifies the rattle noise, which I'll show you in a minute. And then remove that little bit of foam. Don't cut too much out, because obviously you want to keep as much foam as possible. Good thing about the H2O ones, they got 2 beads in it, so it rattles. As you can see now, you can just about hear it. You place it into the foam, and it's much louder. So the foam actually amplifies it. So that's all you do is then, drop that out for a minute. You're simply going to put your hook into the foam, like so, and then put the line through what you just cut. I leave about an inch of the hook out of the foam, because then it allows you to come through the mackerel head. So you should be at that stage now, like so. Then you're going to put your rattle in. It can fall out sometimes when you're whipping it up. If it does, just whip it all up, and when you get to it, just whip that in. The big important thing with this, you have to use bait elastic, because bait elastic is light. Also, for any reason, if the fish does snap you off or anything, obviously the foam normally is biodegradable. I've seen people using insulation tape around there. Insulation tape, when it gets wet, gets heavy. Insulation tape is heavy, and also insulation tape inside the fish stomach, the fish can't digest it, it will die from the toxins. So the Tronix Pro bait cotton is perfect for it. I always use the heavy one, because obviously you are whipping it up, and then if it does go out damaged throughout the day, you can just simply whip it back up. Yeah, so don't use insulation tape or elastic bands or anything, always go for the cotton. So what you do is then, you get your cotton, I'll probably have to fast forward it because it does take quite a while and it's time consuming. And so all you do is then you start whipping, obviously like so. Quite laborious this is. And then whip your way, not too tight, then whip your way down, and that's when the tag end comes in. You can whip around the tag end. And then you whip it all the way down till you get to that end. And what I'll do is I'll jump quickly to that, otherwise we're going to be here for about 10 minutes watching me whipping up some foam. Right, I've quickly whipped all that up, as you can see, and that is the rattle rig finished. As you can hear, the rattle's in there. It's nice and lightweight. And then obviously you've got your circle hook then, which will just slide down. Okay. Like so, so don't have your circle hook in there. The circle hook is free and it'll go round and I'll go into the front of your bait. I did touch on it earlier on. These little pop-ups from Tronics Pro, I've been using them out there now to add a little bit of attraction to it, and they have been working. You'll see it on the video when I'm out there. These are brilliant. They glow, and the halibut were proper turned on to them last time when I was there, so they're always worth a try. And all you do is you just simply feed them up there with a stop knot attraction. But yeah, on the next part now we're going to go on to baiting up when I'm out there. But a top tip with this, do not go putting them in, you know, because it defeats the object of the rig. Put in a massive chunk of meat in there, because it just defeats the object and they'll just sink to the bottom. So halibut are side feeders. So what I do is, and out there now, I'll talk through it in the next part. My mini mackerel, I just cut the mackerel belly out, take all the meat out. There's no spinal cord or anything in it. Take all the meat out, and then you practically just whip in the silver side of the skin around that, because you want to make this as buoyant as possible. Too many times now I've seen, you know, people using this rig, which they've probably seen me using, but then they've got a massive bait in it, and then that's just an up and over rig and it'll sit on the bottom. So the next part, when I'm actually out in Norway, I'll talk you through the correct way of baiting this up. Otherwise it's ineffective, totally ineffective. But that's the rig done now. Hands down, this is the best rig that I've ever used out in Norway. The only thing I use out there now, unless I'm fishing for ling, which we're going to go in the next couple of weeks now, I'll take you through my ling rig for out there. But this is the only rig I use, and if you're looking back on the Tronics Pro YouTube channel when I'm fishing out there, that's all I use is this, and to great effect as well. But yeah, I'll quickly switch you over now to me fishing out in Norway, and show you me actually baiting this up on a mark. But if I don't see you on a beach or a boat, or in my front room, I'll see you on the channel. Enjoy your fishing, everyone. We will my bait up for halibut down south. If I'm up north, I use bigger baits, but down this area, Skarskendet and Sandviberger, you know, the halibut between 10 and 60 to 70 pound. I found over the years they like smaller baits, and what I'll do is I'll take you through the way I bait up for them, using the silver side of the bellies of fish. So what I've got here is obviously the rattle rig, which I always use, but on here I've got Tronics Pro Illumi pop-ups, just to give it that little bit more of attraction. I find these ones work really well for the halibut. And then I've got a 6-0 and then a 4-0 circle hook on it, and also you can hear the rattle. So what I've done here is I got the herring belly and the little small herring which I caught in Southampton. I got there to add it, to wrap it round. So all I simply do is, if you can see here, insert the foam into it, get your bait elastic and whip that on like so. Don't be shy with the bait elastic. I don't think the halibut can really care, because they're mainly side feeders. I don't think they pick up on the smell. Obviously I think they might see the oil, but they're mainly all sight. Because what do you find a lot of times when you wind in these and you see them chasing it, like yesterday with our wolfish, couldn't believe that, they actually come up and try to eat my wolfish. So then it's like that, and then I've just got a small herring, because massive bait as well is, you know, it's difficult to cast, and you can get good distance with this. So I've got all the guts and everything, and I've taken the backbone out to make it lighter on both of them. hook's really exposed. Slide down the semicircle. Slide down the pop-ups. And there it is, perfect bait, and as you can see it's got all the shine from the underbelly of the both herrings. And obviously with the foam that'll pop up like that nicely in the water, and hopefully we can halibut or a nice big cod will come up and get it. But yeah, hopefully that will help you when you come out here or fishing in the UK for larger species fish.